All right, so today we're going to talk about devising a plan for the reading portion of the ACT. Okay? Not only devising a plan of how to attack the test, but then the third P, which is practicing that. So I'm going to refer you a couple times to how we need to time it out when we practice and things like that. But if you're taking notes, feel free to take notes. If you want to take a video, you're welcome to do that. But for right now, let's talk about planning on taking the reading test. And that's for the reading. All right, so let's understand this starting off. The reading is broken down into a number of different sections. Now, in my mind, in the way I teach this, I only look at it as two sections. Okay? There is the fiction, which we're going to take, and we're going to set that off to the side for right now. Okay? And then there's the portion that's nonfiction. If we can hand me, she's got crutches. Will you not hand me a test, please? And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. All right, thank you very much. All right, so if you go to the reading test, it goes English, math, then reading. Okay. All right, so looking at our test that we've all got in common here, you got different passages and things like that. For instance, if you look at page 34, everybody look at 34. It says passage 2 here, social science. And it gives you at the very top, it says this passage is adapted from blah, 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 blah. Basically what you got here is you've got an academic paper. You've got something that was presented in a textbook or presented something like that. It's written in correct form. How many of y'all have MARLAP right now? All right, MLA, am I right? All right, so when you're in English 3, you hear MLA. We got to write everything in MLA format. All right, all that stuff. Well, check it out. They're not going to give you something that is poorly written. They're going to give you something that is well written, that is written correctly. So let's take advantage of that in our plan. All right, now the fiction, when we get to that, and we'll talk about it maybe a separate day a little bit later on. I'll give you a way to attack that fiction. But basically, you're looking at 80% of the reading test is going to be written in MLA format, some way, shape, or form. So if I could tell you that my plan, or this plan, would cause you to spend half of the time actually reading and spending twice as much time looking for answers, how many of you think you would do your very best? Absolutely. Here's my personal story. I'm a good reader. I'm a slow reader. Okay? When I took the ACT, I got 27 on the reading. That's a fair score. I only took it once. We weren't told to take it a bunch or anything like that. But if I had known what I know now and able to impart to y'all, I'd have probably got 32 or something like that. As a matter of fact, last spring when I took it, I got 33. Okay? Now, I don't do it in the environment y'all do. I do it in my kitchen table. Okay? And basically just, but that way I can at least know what's going on with the test. Okay? So, here's the plan. This is the way it works. We're going to take advantage of what we know that the test writers are going to do. They're going to give us something well written. So you guys make sure you can see. And so let's think about that MLA format. And you're going to get my 3.5, 4-minute version of MLA. Okay. I like to use 5 paragraphs as an example. It may be 7. It may be more. But basically, let's talk about it. MLA tells us when we write a paper, we got 3 parts. First part is the intro. How many of y'all remember this? Intro, absolutely. Within the introduction, we got a lot of stuff going on up in this paragraph. At the very beginning, there may be a catch, a hook, something to do what? Get your attention. Get your attention. Get you attracted to this. Okay? Now, you got some other, anecdotal stuff in here. Right down here, we got 2 very important pieces of writing going on. One is going to be a thesis statement, or the core theme of what's going on in this paper. The next one is going to be a transition. Very often the transition sentence says something like, and let me use, I like to use weather as an example when I talk about this. Let's say I had written a science paper on the dramatic changes in weather in Middle Tennessee in 2017 versus 2016. Well, I mean, it's 70 degrees today and it's February, whatever. Okay, so we could do a little comparison there. All right, I would start off by talking about something about throwing something down on the table. But anyway, no, I'd start off with some sort of catch right here about students. Don't you just long for that day when you get the phone call from James Evans that says, snow day? All right, well, in 2017, we're not getting. All right, so that's going to be your hook right there. Everyone was like, well, heck yeah, absolutely. I love that phone call. Go back to sleep. All right, right down here, we're going to talk about the difference in weather this year compared to last. It's because of the jet stream being farther north than previous years. It will be about the high pressure system staying farther north, and then low pressure systems moving up from the Gulf of Mexico. Okay? So anyway, that's my transition. So what is this called? This is the body. Okay? Let's say I've got 3 areas to the body. Well, what 3 points are they going to be covering? Number 1, the jet stream being farther north than before. Okay? Number 2 is going to be, what did I say it was? The high pressure systems staying farther north than normal. And number 3, low pressure systems moving up from the Gulf of Mexico, bringing warmer weather. Okay? So if my transition talks about those 3 areas, what should I assume I'm going to see in my 3 portions of the body? Those 3 things. Y'all following with me? Whoa, almost lost this. All right, y'all, does that make sense to you guys? So let's take advantage of that. So instead of reading all this right here gets my attention. Okay, they may refer back to this. This right here lets me know what's in the rest of this. And usually in what order. Now, I'm going to take that right there. I'm going to read the first couple lines until I know what it talks about. Thank you, sir, very much. All right, listen to what I'm saying. I'm going to read just enough of this paragraph to know what's in this paragraph. Anything else is a waste of my time right now. I'm going to read just enough of this body paragraph to know what's in the paragraph. I'm going to read just enough of this one to know what's in the paragraph. Now, I've made my way now, 1, 2, 3, 4, through the first 4 paragraphs here. And how much have I actually read? Maybe 40%? Y'all see how this works? But what I know is, I know what each paragraph is talking about. I know what the paper is about, and I know where most things are located. Now, at the tail end down here, what is the conclusion? All right, the conclusion does this. Down here at the very end, we're going to restate what we just did. All right, up here, I'm telling you what I'm about to tell you. Then I do the telling. And down here at the bottom, I'm going to tell you again what I just told you. That's the way those... Do y'all remember writing this stuff like this? Absolutely. It's exactly the way they have you do it. Okay? So let's take advantage of that. All right, do I need to read all of this conclusion? Not really. Not much. Maybe about half of it. Now, a couple of things you want to look for in the process. Proper nouns. What do I mean by proper nouns? Places, locations, names, things like that. Things are going to be capitalized. Okay? Dates. Okay? Because numbers stick out to us. Okay? But again, it's not going to be something that's going to take a lot of my time. I'm just going to look at it, boom, 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 boom. Okay? So from a reading standpoint, your goal is, instead of reading the whole passage, I want to read 40% of it. Now, what does that do? That gives us time to focus on the questions. Typically, they have anywhere from 6 to 7 questions per section. It's different with each test. Maybe it's all spread out equally, and maybe the next test you got 5 on one, 7 on another, whatever. Okay? They tweak it a little bit each time. But you're going to be right in that range. And you have, I believe it's 35 minutes to do 40 questions. So you're looking at, on average, just under a minute per question. So if you're hitting it at 50 seconds per question, you're doing just fine. But don't worry about it like that. I'm going to give you a numerical breakdown in just a moment. So before I tell you how to apply practice to this, how many of y'all so far are like, okay, that makes sense. I limit my reading to basically 40% of it. You see the key areas where we're going to read, right? All right, questions, anybody so far? All right, now let's put a little bit of meat on these bones on how do I practice this. All right, so that's the plan on how to read. And the goal of that reading is to know where information, stay with me, Sophie. All right, so the practice goes like this. We got 35 minutes We got 40 questions. Well, let me break things down by like an 8-minute practice session. Okay, let's go 8 minutes here. And I want to give you a goal of this. Let's go 2 minutes. Let me get a different marker. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll make it up later. All right, so let's go 2 minutes and 30 seconds. This is the first practice. The first section, the first reading practice that you do, whether it's tonight or tomorrow, whenever. Okay, 2 minutes and 30 seconds to read. Okay, that's to cover those things I just talked about. All right, so if we're talking 8 minutes total, that gives me 5.5 left for questions, for Q&A. Okay, now it's important you get this, because the first time we're going to do it like this, and the second time we're going to do it different, and the third time we're going to do it different. Because what we're doing here with the practice is we're training ourselves to have an internal clock to be able to know, okay, where am I at timing-wise? Okay, so this is the first session. All right, do this, and then if you notice in your test packet, the back pages are answers. Write your answers down, and then go check your answers. Pretty simple, pretty easy. See how you do. But do it with a stopwatch. What I would do is I'd take a phone, a stopwatch, something like this. This is where your 15 minutes of practice comes in. Okay? I put 2:30 on a timer, press go, and I would start doing my reading. All right. When you're done with your reading, if you finish your reading in 1:57, stop on your timer and mark down 33 seconds left over. Okay? Just write that down, 33 seconds left over. I've done it 33 seconds shorter than what Coach Harris said. Okay? If it takes all 2:30, that's fine. If you can do it in 2:15, that's fine. Document what the practice is taking. Okay? Now, allow yourself, let's say I did it a little bit quicker, allow yourself this extra time added into that. Again, we're still on an 8-minute goal. And then finish the questions, and then stop it again. Okay? If you're 6 minutes added in here, 6:03, whatever it was, if you end up coming underneath 8 minutes as a total, outstanding. If you're getting to 8 minutes as a total and you're not done, that's somewhere we have to continue to practice. Okay? Now, that's practice 1. I gotta move a little quicker, so I'm starting around time. Practice 2. This is where you gotta be decent note taker. Notice this. Practice 2. I'm going to go